Welcome back to a Celtic State of Mind. It's half-time here at Pittodrie. I'm Paul John Dykes, and tonight I'm delighted to be joined by Anthony Maguire all the way from New Zealand. It's one each, perfect start, and then we lost our way, Anthony.
Yeah, we did. We were talking about an early goal. We got one. It was a honking corner from Luke McCowan, and his delivery today has not been great. Liam Stales manages to sort of somehow get some sort of diving touch on it. It bounces up, and Kieran Tierney, again, right foot this time, puts in the back of the net. Great start. We're zipping the ball around. First 15 minutes, fantastic. Really putting Aberdeen under all sorts of pressure. And then for whatever reason, we start giving the ball away. We just start being a bit untidy in possession, inviting a bit of pressure on ourselves. And then Liam Stales, unfortunately, giving away a very soft penalty, but it is a penalty. And they Aberdeen get a foothold to score the penalty, one each. And then for the next 10, 15 minutes, we're really all over the place, lost our rhythm. And it wasn't really until that last 10 minutes there that we started actually finding our feet again and getting back into the game. Some really slick passing, a couple of flick-ons from like Tinekti, the one from McCowan. And I thought, if we can just get that one right before half-time, and then obviously just in injury time there, a potential handball shout. But, for me, arm down by the side. So, you'd be fuming if that was given against you. So I think that was probably the fair decision on that one.
Yeah, fuming if it was given against you. Were you fuming when the penalty was given against Scalesy?
Yeah, look, it's very soft. I mean, I almost feel that Alessandro was almost on the way down before the contact was made, but you can't make that sort of contact from behind, not winning the ball. Liam Stales just needed to stand him up, and he's just mistimed that challenge. And I think, if it was up the other end, you'd be streaming for it. So, it's a hard one to take, especially since we were playing well. But the real, and this has probably been the thing with the Celtic side this season, is that something like this happens and it kind of derails us for periods of a match. It'd be nice to just get straight back into our rhythm again. But like I said, we did get there by the end of the half, but there was probably about 20 minutes of play in the middle of that half where we were just very patchy.
Very patchy, wading through quicksand, all a bit slow and predictable and a bit tedious. No tempo. And that was one of the biggest issues I felt in the first half at Ibrox, whereby, it was almost as if we ran out of ideas when we got to a certain area of the park, because we were giving them time to regroup. We weren't doing it quickly enough. That the tempo was too low. And when I watch the Celtic side, I sometimes do think that we become far too predictable, which is why at halftime we often make these changes to try and mix it up. I want to talk about some of the players in that first half. Obviously, we need to focus on Arthur, who was thrown in at the deep end because of Murray's injury, last-minute thigh injury, apparently, whilst he was warming up. I think also Tierney has had an interesting first half in that he looks like our best goal threat. He scores a goal, and then he gets a bit of a stamp on the ankle, and I'm a bit concerned about that because he was still holding it. Wouldn't surprise me if he comes off at half-time, which I think is a bit of a disaster, as much as I love Sriracha. And then we talk about the man to pick up front, and Martin O'Neill's gone for Svanchara. He's very good at winning free kicks, etc., but not really involved. There's a couple of moments in the box, Anthony, when you're just thinking he lays it off, and that he doesn't seem to have that instinct. I don't know if we're playing to his strengths or not. I've said before, he's not a particularly prolific striker. And we're playing in a similar fashion than we did at Ibrox, whereby we're not up the park quickly enough, and there's not enough space in the midfield, which means Leotati's being smothered. Everything that McGregor and McCowan's trying to do is one touch just to try and get it out the feet, and it's all a wee bit pedestrian for me. Do you give them any time in the second half, Anthony? Do you make those half-time changes that we know O'Neill has made over the last few weeks and months? You look as though you might have frozen, mate. So if you drop out for a second, sorry for anyone with a big screen television. Yes, it is me and the massive heat. So let's see if we can make that a little bit smaller. That's probably better. And I'm just keeping an eye on Anthony. He should be back with us. I can see him moving about in the background. Here he is. He's back. I think you've saved him by coming back there, Anthony.
I can hear you perfectly fine, but obviously my image is freezing from time to time, but I caught everything you said there, Paul John. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Sriracha comes on at halftime. I think Kieran Tierney's definitely feeling that tackle, and it was a bad stamp on his ankle there. So I wouldn't be surprised if he makes way at halftime, which is a shame because I think he's been playing exceptionally well. I think Julian Araujo on the other wing, on the other fullback position, also playing really, really well, reading the play and winning the ball and turning defence into attack very quickly. I just wish Yang would put some long studs on because he keeps falling over on that slippery surface. Obviously a bit wet and a bit loose, so understandable given the amount of rain they've had up in Aberdeen. But yeah, to answer your question about the centre forwards,
a little bit of a delay there with Anthony. We might lose him for the rest of this halftime show, but there is loads of comments coming through. I want you to tell me about your thoughts on the performances of Sinisalo in goals. I think his distribution has been suspect. Rio Atatu, who was for me the game changer at the weekend, hasn't quite got to grips with the game so far. And of course, Benjamin Arthur thrown in at the deep end. Couple of moments where he doesn't control the ball well enough and he loses possession, but I think defensively he has looked pretty solid. So what do you think about this? I felt at the weekend what we did much better in the second half is we got Chuneki further up the park on the left wing, and we actually got Arauco higher up on the right hand side. We need to do that, even if it means, if there's an issue around Kieran Tierney and he has been our biggest goal threat and he scored us the goal, take him off for Sriracha, push Sriracha a wee bit further up, and it puts them on the back foot, and we can play a higher line, and hopefully we can start to create some chances. It all feels to me as though we're trying to score the perfect goal. We're walking it into the net, and too tippy-tappy once we get into the final third, and in particular in the box. Just have a strike. There was a moment where there was a double strike from Callum McGregor and then Kieran Tierney near the end of the first half. You want a wee bit more of that. Create a bit of chaos and a bit of jeopardy in the box, and we'll take it from there. I'm going to bring in your comments. Anthony will be joining us for the full time as well. He's in a hotel room in New Zealand, committed and dedicated to the cause, but the Wi-Fi is a little bit suspect at times, which is understandable. Barry O'Sullivan, think we need 2 subs at half-time. Which subs would you make, Barry? We need to play higher up the field. I totally agree with you, and I think that was the key to the second half performance at Ibrox at the weekend. We played higher up the park. The 2 wingers pushed them back, and it created pockets of space in the midfield. Who are the 2 subs you would make at half-time? We do have a goal threat in Nygren on the bench. We do have the ultimate pressing machine in Maeda. We've got a bit of class and experience in Oxley Chamberlain. Who do you bring on and who departs? Now, I'm not going to be negative at halftime. I said before the game that we've been covering every Celtic match in its entirety live before halftime and after the game for 6 seasons now. And at halftime, often you're sitting there and you could be pulling your hair out at the performance, and then you see a different Celtic in the second half. I'm hoping for that. I'm going to keep my faith in Martin O'Neill. It may require a few changes, and I'm sorry if Big Ewan Martin's in the comments section. He was the originator of the Yang gang. He set it up, and I've got to say that Yang, for me, wasn't really at the races in the first half. There was a moment on the right-hand side in the final third where he was all a bit passive, and he's just knocking the ball back to Arauco, whereas I'm looking for him to knock it and then obviously try and get into space himself. It was almost as if he was wanting someone else to make it happen, whereas I'm looking at him now, 100 games in the hoops, where he needs to be in that position where he can grab the game by the scruff of the neck. And I might have Anthony back in, so let's see if he can come back onto the stage. There he is. You're back. You've been listening to me for the last 2 or 3 minutes ranting.
I can hear you loud and clear, but obviously at your end it's a little bit different, so I apologise. But yes, no problem, I'm at the mercy of hotel Wi-Fi. Yeah, I mean, I think Chivin Chara, just turn back to my point I was making, he got their centre-half booked, so he's on a tightrope now. But apart from that, it's been a bit sort of patchy. He's not really... I think you're right. The biggest concern for me is not making those sort of runs when the ball is getting crossed over. He's never there. And I just think for a Celtic centre-forward, you've got to be there. So that for me, that's a big issue. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him exit at some point early in the second half.
I'm going to have a wee look on the bench, actually. I'm trying to keep an eye on any changes that are coming through. But talking about options on the bench, of course, you've got Jamesy Forrest. I don't think Yang's having a great game. Jamesy Forrest is doing well with his cameos. He might come into the action. Dyson Maeder for his press, as I said before. Sarachi, I think if you have any concerns about Tierney, take him off. As well as he's played in that first half, take him off and bring Sarachi on. Oxlade-Chamberlain, is he going to do a better job than Luke McCowan? Potentially, yes, although I wouldn't say McCowan's been particularly bad in the first half. We just maybe need someone with a different set of attributes in the second. My big concern is if you do take off the big man up top, and I think he's done well to get in and about the head of Nielsen, and he's drawn a few fouls and everything else, but the other option you've got there's Adamu, and he's not really proved himself. We know what he done in his debut, Anthony. But if he comes on, you're thinking, well, it's a wee bit like for like for me.
Yeah, it is. I think potentially Maeda could be the one to come on in the centre forward position, given that he did perform well in the second half at Ibrox, playing in that centre forward position. And then Egren's the other one. I mean, obviously he can score goals. So, I mean, I think you'd have to expect him to come on at some point if we don't get a goal in the first 5-10 minutes of the second half. I think the changes will probably come 55, 60 minutes. I think he might give this team 10 minutes to see if they can do it themselves before he starts ringing the changes, I think. I don't think it's that dire that he needs to make changes at half-time, but it's just sort of like give it 5-10 minutes, see how this sort of game sort of starts, and then go from there. But I totally agree. If Sarachi's if Kieran Tierney's not right, then Sarachi comes on at half-time.
It's such a shame. We've watched Kieran Tierney arriving at the football club, and there was a lot of, I think, detractors actually commenting on a lot of the streams, when it was known back in January that he had signed a pre-contract, talking about him being injury prone, etc. And I keep saying this: he's played more minutes this season than in any other season since he left Celtic first time round. He is racking up the performances. He is contributing to goals and assists. And I think when you watch that first half of the game tonight, that is the Tierney that if we can get that consistently, then great, because he's doing everything he needs to do in a defensive sense, but he's also contributing up top. He had 2 or 3 shots that were blocked as well. It'll be a shame if he has to go off, but we need to manage him because we're going to need him for the rest of this campaign as well. But we are up against a side that I don't think are a particularly good side. They've not done well this year. Since the turn of the year, they've not done well. In fact, they've not done well since they won the Scottish Cup against us. So you are hoping that the team that's on the park can sort it out. And I do expect that to happen. I'm just keeping an eye on the action here, Anthony, to see if any changes are made. We've got a particularly good record in Pittodrie as well. That's something that the commentary team are constantly referring to, a very good record at Pittodrie. I've also got a lot of people coming into the comment section who are saying this is the worst Celtic team they've seen in 40 years. Listen, I know it's not a vintage Celtic side, but I don't think it's as bad as that. 40 years ago, with regards to some of the players we've seen in the hoops in that period, this is a team that's almost like, it's been thrown together. I'm just seeing them running out. Tierney is on for the second half, as is Big Tam. So I think O'Neill has listened to your advice at half-time, Anthony. He's going to give them 10, 15 minutes here.
Yeah, Kieran Tierney, just a quick comment on that. 42 appearances, 5 goals, 11 assists. They're good stats for a left-back. Brilliant. And, obviously everyone's saying that, he's past it and all the rest of it. The first month, 6 weeks, he was probably playing at 75%. He was still easing his way back into full fitness. But we're now starting to see the Kieran Tierney evolved, and it's great to see. It's wonderful, and also good for Scotland as well with the World Cup coming up. The more he plays, but we have to manage it as well. So if he is carrying a knock, whisk him off. But it's good that he is back on the second half, so hopefully he's okay and he can contribute. And he just needs to score a goal with his left foot now, and he's got what do they call it? A thingy hat trick where they score with a head, a left foot, and a right foot in the last sort of 2 games. So I'll take that today.
Absolutely. That's incredible, the goal contributions this season. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. As I say, I'm not getting too worried yet, but let's see what the second half brings. And join us at full time on a Celtic State of